Hello again, everyone. I hope you're doing well on this Tuesday afternoon. I'm Ariel Helwani, joined once again by the reigning defending UFC featherweight champion, the man who defeated Max Holloway on Saturday at UFC 251. It was a very close fight, but he walked away the winner once again and still retains that title. He's the one and only Alexander Volkanovski, joining us from his home in Australia. Alex, how are you?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm not at home actually. I'm in quarantine at the
Oh,
moment in
okay.
Sydney. Yeah, two
So you
weeks in
had to do the
quarantine.
same thing as Dan Hooker.
Yeah. Same thing as Dan. So we're here for 2 weeks, and then I can go and see the fam.
So are you in a hotel?
Yeah, we've got an apartment here in the city.
Wow. Are you alone?
Yeah. Nah, no, me and Joe. So me and my coach, we end up getting an apartment where we could actually have our own bubble. So we're staying together for the 2 weeks.
Gotcha. And you have to be there for 14 days.
14 days. Yep.
Are you even able to see your family from afar?
Nah. So we're not allowed to do that. We don't even have a room key, so we're not allowed out of
Wow.
our apartment. So
So
yeah, it's
you
pretty
checked
full on.
in and they took away the key.
Well, they didn't even give us a key. Just yeah, so we can open the door, but we won't be able to get back in. But they got security guards on every floor, and it's pretty crazy. So
Wow.
things are starting there. The lockdowns are starting to happen again. So it's all good.
So how did you actually? I'm just fascinated by this. How did you actually get
Yeah,
into the room? Did someone escort you from the
yeah.
airport?
So we go straight from the airport to this hotel. You check in and you do everything, and then they just take you straight up.
Okay.
So they
Is
bring the food to us. They do everything.
After a long journey like that and a battle like that, is it tough not to see your wife and kids?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. It's tough. That's something that I always want to do. Every time I finish a fight, I want to go home, see the family. You spend so much time away from. Luckily for this camp, I got to spend it at home, so I got to. I wasn't away from them during camp so much. But being away a couple of weeks and now another, a couple of weeks, it sucks, but I mean, it's just a part of the job. It's something. We make a lot of sacrifices in this crazy sport.
Amen. All right. Well, obviously, this was a hotly contested battle. Once again, you have now fought Max for 10 rounds for 50 minutes, and you guys are neck and neck. And in this particular fight, as you probably know, a lot of people scored it in favor of Max Holloway, and this has created a very passionate, discussion
Mm.
online. People, feeling like Max was robbed, etc. 2 days after the fight, how do you feel about the body of work? How do you feel about the fight?
Yeah, but look, it was a close fight. It was a close fight, 100%. He started off. He made good adjustments from the first fight, and the first two rounds. You know what I mean? Even though they seemed pretty competitive, he ended up, obviously getting the knockdowns and stealing them rounds. So I knew I had work to do. I knew from that third round, I was like, "You got work to do. We can't let him get another." So that's when we picked things up, and I had to be a little, I had to be more careful, but we did what we had to do. We had to steal them last three rounds, and that's exactly what we done. Again, it was a close fight. I can see, obviously, he's a very popular man, and a lot of people were unhappy with the decision. But I'm very confident I got the three rounds. I've obviously got the stats to show it as well. But that's, man, you don't really judge a fight like that anyway. But I was pretty confident. The judges seen it the same way. The stats show it as well. So it's a again, close fight. You're always gonna get the doubters and haters and things like that. So it's just a part of the game. But I'm confident I won the last three, so that's all that matters.
So you thought you won 3, 4, and 5,
Yes,
and,
definitely.
and
Pretty again. Like I thought, even going after the third round, I was pretty confident I had that. Then the fourth, I was confident I had that, and then the fifth, I was pretty confident I had that. But again, you never know. You're still waiting for the judges to call your name. Then they called it, and then I didn't think anything of it till like afterwards. People were carrying on. I was quite surprised. So the way I felt, and obviously again he started off well. First two rounds, he made good adjustments, like I said, from the first fight. But then I had to dig deep, show what champions are made of, and make adjustments mid fight. And I did that, and I turned it around. You know what I mean? So that's just saying something. That just shows you what type of fighter I am, and the will to win. To get the job done and dig deep, and that's what it's all about. It's what champions are made of. And I thought I showed that. Again, I wish I started a little bit better, but it doesn't matter. It's how you finish, and that's what got me the fight.
Speaking of those adjustments, what were you thinking going into the third round? So most people thought he won the first two, and it sounds like you agree with that assessment. What was he doing well, and what were you thinking going to the third about needing to change a few things?
Well, there was a couple of things that he did. Obviously, they were still competitive. Like people just remember the knockdowns, but they were competitive. Like the first round, like we probably thought we were up, and then he landed a couple of good shots right at the end, and then all right, I know how the scoring system works. So I was pretty sure that he would definitely get that first round, and then the same thing happened in the second. But again, that's just the way the scoring system is. You know what I mean? Like it goes round by round. So I knew I had to let them 2 rounds go. Them 2 rounds are gone. He did make adjustments. Obviously, he wasn't as wide a stance. He was more worried about checking kicks and things like that, more upright. There was a couple of little things that, there's no point going into too much detail, but he did change things up a little bit through a few more kicks, which we expected. There was things that he did that we expected, but it took me a little while to get used to it. Even the kick that got me, we were quite confident he was going to throw a kick like that. It still caught me, but again, that's just the game. But we made adjustments, and we knew we had to win them last 3 rounds. And I thought I won him. The judges thought I won him, and then obviously looking at the stats and the numbers, the official numbers, once the fight was done, it showed that we were right. A lot of people again are unhappy, and I understand that because it was close, but I'm pretty confident that there's still a lot of people out there that know that I won the last 3 rounds, and at the end of the day, it got me the belt, so that's all that matters.
I heard some people say that part of the problem in the first 2 rounds was that you came out with the same game plan because it was so effective. In the first fight, you came out with that same game plan in the first 2 rounds, and then you had to adjust. Do you agree with that? Is that a fair assessment?
Oh, look, it probably goes a little bit deeper than that. He made adjustments. If it ain't broke, you know what I mean. So
Hmm.
that's what you're going to go with. But again, I'm always going to play what's in front of me. I always had to keep moving. Again, there was probably a couple of things that I had to change myself, like compared to last fight. But again, he made adjustments and it was working for him. So I knew I had to change. I knew I had to do more. We sort of seen what he was doing with checking the leg kicks and obviously reacting to my legs. So I had to, again, without getting into too much detail, I had to, throw kicks or let him think of the kicks and then follow up and then use footwork and make him adjust that way. And it was just little things like that. And it ended up working for me. So, we ended up making him, made it harder for him to throw his kicks and throw his knees and, crowd him a little bit while he was moving, while he was checking. And little changes like that. But again, I had to dig deep. So, credit to Max. He really, to come back and after the first fight, to turn it around in the first 2 rounds like he did, just shows you what type of fighter he is. And it just shows you the type of fighter I am as well. So, I'd taken out Max in his prime, back to back, he's pretty incredible. We had words before a couple of words before the fight, but it's just that's a part of the game. But nothing but respect to him. He's a great fighter. But again, I just showed that I made the adjustments in them last 3 rounds and got the win.
What is it like to go through a training camp and then a fight like that, and to pour your heart and soul into something and get the belt, retain it and go back, and then all of a sudden you are flooded with hate? Like, I saw your Instagram and I saw many people, including Michael Bisping, come to your defense. You don't need anyone to come to your defense, but
Yeah.
you know how people can be online. What is that like? You want to revel in your success. You want to be happy. You want to breathe a sigh of relief. And then you get people coming after you when all you did was fight. At the end of the day, all you did was fight and do your thing. And now you're being, called all kinds of names. What is that feeling like?
Oh man, it's just look again. It's a part of it. You're always gonna, you can go out there and shut someone out like with the first fight. I believe I won all 5 rounds, and I still had people hating, saying things that you're just like, well, it's just as blessed Holloway would say, it is what it is. You know what I mean? You can't really just let it get to you. But again, look at the numbers we did. There was look at the pay-per-views we done. There was a lot of people that watched that fight. You know what I mean? There was a lot of people that probably haven't watched a heap of fights. There's a lot of people that probably don't know exactly how the judging system goes, the scoring system. So these are people that see a couple of knockdowns, and again, I'm not hating on them. They don't know any different, and then they're screaming, robbery. Anyone that knows the game will be like, that's just crazy talk, saying it's robbery. Obviously, it was really close. And but again, I'm still very confident. It comes down to that third round, and I believe I done enough. The judges thought that, all three judges, and not just that. We have the numbers to back it up. But again, I don't need to be defensive about it. I'm quite confident I won, so I don't need to find excuses or try and defend how I won. But again, it's the numbers show. And, I believe I won the last 3 rounds, and that's all that matters to me. So I can't really just worry about what everyone's saying.
Credit to Max. He's handled it very well. No real complaining, hasn't, thrown shots or anything like that. He did say one thing that I wanted to ask you about. He said, I proved my point. What do you think when you see him write something like that?
Well, I don't know. I actually missed that part. But, yeah, I don't know. I don't know what he means by that. Again, look, he's a smart man. Obviously, people are carrying on, and there's a lot of people saying that he won, and then like he's maybe taken that. But again, he knows the fight was still close. Even him taking them first 2 rounds, and he knew they were close going into the last 10 seconds, and then he took it. But he's a smart man. He knows that it was a close fight for him. Act like it was a complete robbery, if that's what he's trying to say. I don't know what he's trying to say, but again, he can think what he wants. He thought he won the first fight as well. So, whether he was just saying that, I don't know. But, that's pretty crazy to think that he thought he won the first fight. Here, all right, this was a lot closer, and I understand that. But at the same time, I think I've done enough. And, the judges thought so too.
It's rare that, someone is 2-0 against another fighter, and that fighter will get a third crack, right? Considering how close these 2 fights were, and especially the second fight, do you have any interest in fighting him for a third time relatively soon, or do you want to move on?
Well, realistically, did I even really need to do the rematch? A lot of people are going to say, again, he was a great champion, great fighter. But I mean, you got to see it from my point of view. Like, there's people are going to say what they want, but I'm confident I won that fight. The judges seen it the same way. I've won the first fight convincingly, and I won both fights. And I want to start taking these number 1 contenders. Like I said, I don't want to hold up the division, as I've been saying. And then if I'm just going to keep doing rematch after rematch after rematch, I've won twice. I still want a rematch. Like, I just don't get the point of that. I see some people are, again, some people are going to say what they want, but yeah, again, I'm confident I won that fight. The judges saw it the same way. There's still a lot of people that know I won the last 3 rounds, but again, there's a lot more people being vocal, saying it was a robbery and whatnot. But I'm just not playing into that because I don't believe it, and a lot of people don't believe that either.
Well, one of those top contenders is the Korean Zombie, Chan Sung-jung. You guys have had words in the past, and he had some words about this particular fight as well. Did you see his comments, and if so, what did you make of them?
Yeah. I've seen that. Man, look, it's just, I don't know. Maybe he's got one of his boys writing some stuff for him again. But, again, straight after my last fight, he started getting lost. One of his teammates or his manager got lippy and started carrying on. And then one of them got slapped for it, and then they went quiet. So, Brian Ortega gave him a good slapping, and they stopped talking for a while. But maybe, maybe they need another good slapping to keep him quiet. But again, look, man, I'm not going to get into that. He's probably just trying to hype the fighter, but, I think he needs to fight Brian Ortega. I think that's what they're planning on doing. And again, you know what I mean? I want them number 1 contenders. You go out there and you take out Brian Ortega, I'm sure everyone's going to be screaming your name, and I'm going to be there waiting 100%. Again, I'm not scared of no one in the division. I'll be honest when I tell you Max Holloway is the hardest matchup out of everyone in our division by far. And I was happy to take him back to back. You know what I mean? So people got to realize that. Like, people are going to sit there and say, you're scared of this, scared of that. I ain't scared of nobody. I've already took out the hardest guys in my division. Back to back, you got, even Chad Mendes to Aldo to Max. Stylistically, they were the 3 hardest fights. So, again, I'm not the cocky type, as you know, I always say, but I'm confident in all the other matchups that I see in the near future.
So the current plan seems to be Korean Zombie versus versus Brian Ortega, and then Zabit versus Yair. Do you is the plan right now to kind of wait and see who emerges from those two fights, or do you want to fight someone else? Like, what is your thinking now? Here we are in mid-July. Do you think you'll get another one in at the end of 2020? What's your thinking as you
Man,
start to digest this?
yeah, I want to. I definitely want to get another fight in. I'm hearing whispers that they might be going back to Fight Island, like in
Hmm.
October or something, maybe. And I want to fight I want to fight this year. And again, I'm saying I want these number one contenders. So people need to fight soon, I guess. But again, you got a big fight tomorrow night, is it?
Yep.
You got obviously, there's a couple of big fights coming up, and again, you never know. You probably see tomorrow night there'll be a winner. They'll probably be calling me out. Everyone's going to be screaming their name. You never know. You never know who the number one contender will be. But again, I'm ready to move forward and take on whoever the UFC thinks is the number one contender, who everyone thinks is the number one contender, who everyone thinks that can beat me. I'm
You don't
ready.
have a
I'm ready for
preference.
any of them. Whoever's number one contender. Like I said, I'm a champion chasing all the contenders. I want every single one of them. So whoever is the hottest topic, whoever is whoever's looking the best, whoever's the hardest matchup supposedly for me, bring it on. That's who I want. But again, there's guys like Korean Zombie obviously saying stuff, and there are a lot of people mentioning his name as well. Then you got guys like Zabit as well. Another one was Zabit. They're two names that definitely catch my eye. So they're two names I've got my eye on. If they could get a fight soon and take that number one contender spot, I'll be ready for it, 100%. You know what I mean? I'll be ready to take that on. But again, we're just going to see. I just fought, obviously, a couple of days ago.
Yeah.
So we'll see how it all plays out. But I do want to fight before the end of the year.
Obviously, the one big X factor is Mr. Henry Cejudo, who continues to talk about you. Is there any chance that this happens?
Oh, man, I think he called out 3 people that night. I think, you know what I mean? It's Henry Cejudo doing his thing, you know what I mean? So I'm not too bothered by it. But, again, look, I'm chasing my contenders. I'm talking about, I want that GOAT status. I want to take out the best guys in my division. I want the fences, and for me to go and fight Henry again, this ain't a knock to him. He's done great things in the flyweight division and bantamweight division. Olympian, mate, I've got a lot of respect for him as a fighter, but this is featherweight, and him just jumping the queue doesn't put me anywhere. That won't help me reach my GOAT status. That won't help me. I'm trying to say I want these number one contenders. You know what I mean? Then I'm going to be putting this division on hold, and I've always said I didn't want to do that. So it just does not make sense. And if for some reason the UFC were to really want that to happen, and that was the fight that they're trying to push, I'd want to get paid for it, because again, it does nothing for me. I'm chasing that GOAT status, as I said, and for them to just let him jump the queue, which everyone knows I ain't about that. I ain't about that one bit. I want number one contenders. I want people that deserve it to get it. And if someone's gonna, change them plans for me, I better be compensated for it. That's what I think.
By the way, any serious injuries coming out of the fight?
Just my shins, just my shin. So, actually, my left shin mainly, because I use the left shin a lot more this fight. I couldn't really use my right shin. Still injured from the first fight, to be quite honest.
Wow.
But yeah, I just did work on the rehab properly, but I'll definitely do that this time. And so obviously you hitting it a couple of times, I didn't get to use that. So that sort of ruined a bit of a sort of a game planning for me as well. But in saying that, again, I didn't even want to bring that up, because I've got so many other tools that I could use. You know what I mean?
Right.
And again, so I've no real injuries. I'm sweet.
What about the hand?
Hand's right. The right hand's all right. Left hand's
Oh,
a little bit sore, but the right hand's sweet. The
okay.
right hand is the one I broke last time.
Okay. And overall, the experience, I recall you telling me about 10 or so days ago, you only found out that you can fly over 6 hours before your flight. Your team didn't tell you about all of this, but the whole experience from going from Australia to Abu Dhabi, being there in quarantine, Fight Island, all that, how would you describe the entire experience? Stressful,
Mate,
fun?
I know it was sweet, man. Again, it wasn't stressful for me when we found out about the exemption 6 to 8 hours because they didn't tell me. So it would have been stressful for my team, and supposedly it was stressful them getting me out of Abu Dhabi as well. So I wasn't
Really?
allowed to come back to Australia till about till Sunday, till like midday after my fight, and I left that night. So you know what I mean. So
What was
we
the
didn't get the
problem?
exemption to come back to Australia. I don't know. I don't know what it is. I think
Okay.
they're starting because now we're starting to get a few more cases
Yeah.
here in Australia. So they're starting to cut the people coming into Australia and things like that. I think that's what it was. So they just fit us in a few hours before we come back to Australia, but it's all good.
Okay. So and being there in Abu Dhabi, you enjoyed the experience?
Yeah, I did, man. Like I said, that was the stressful part. Now me doing the quarantine here is going to be worse. The whole process over there, like the UFC done a great job. I'll be honest. Like even getting to the airport as soon as I got the exemption, it was pretty much smooth sailing. I thought it was going to be a lot harder than it was. They've done a great job, and even just to be involved in something like this, for the UFC to even make this happen, one of the early sports going. I'm pretty impressed with that. I'm glad I was a part of it. Obviously, the world was watching, and it was it was a good experience.
And last thing, I'm just curious, as a fighter, and because you've been in these two close fights, how do one thing that people get so crazy, after these fights, right? As you saw, but it was the same thing after the Dominic Reyes John Jones fight. It was the same thing after Yoel and Izzy. I personally feel like the 10-point must system isn't the best scoring system for MMA. It's a boxing scoring system, and we've tried to adapt it to mixed martial arts. But as you know, mixed martial arts is a lot more intricate, and there's a lot more complexities in
Yep.
in an MMA fight as opposed to a boxing fight. How do you, as someone who has to actually deal with the system, you are judged on it. How do you feel about it,
Mate? Look, I think I'll be honest. Like, I believe that the way the system works, I think they can make adjustments.
Hmm.
I do believe this as well. But at the end of the day, we've got to fight with what we got.
Yeah.
So I know that. So if I knew that, if say the judging system was different, them last 3 rounds I would have had to fight a complete different fight. People got to realize that. I remember we talk about me having this fight IQ and things like that. I'm a smart man. I know if this was based on a hole and me edging 3 rounds, I know that might not be enough. But in this rule set, I need to get these rounds. You know what I mean? So if the rule set was to change, which I do believe that they can make change, I think they can make adjustments. And that's what people have been saying for years, but that's just not the case. This is a system we have, and this is a system that we will use until it changes. So again, if it was a different system, I obviously would have been like, all right, I need to do more than just win these last 3 rounds. You get what I mean? So it's just even though it worked, people were going to act like, oh, it worked in my favor. Again, like that's just the scoring system. People have been talking about it for years, changing. And I agree. Like, I'll be happy if it changes. As long as I know about it changing,
Right.
then we're good. You know what I mean? So no dramas at all.
Alex, you're always gracious with your time. I really appreciate it. Congratulations on the win. Sorry about the drama afterwards, but at least the fans are watching and they're passionate about it, and that's good for you. And if the numbers are accurate, I'm sure you're very happy with the aftermath. So that will certainly ease any pain afterwards. So enjoy it. Congratulations. Enjoy your time in isolation over there. Try not to go too stir crazy, and then of course being back home with your family. Thank you for staying up late for us.
No worries at all. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN Plus.